10 seconds after that.
Okay. You know what? We can just watch them and see what's going on. Like, get the general idea, right? So the general idea is that Duda is trying to get into, like, around the white king. He just got his knight into g3. Where is Parham? Where maybe his pawn is on a5, knight g3. Okay, I think this is the current position.
Knight g5.
Knight g5. Okay, where'd the king
I think
go?
Duda just blundered something. Knight g5 and then
King g7, and then the knight went back. I think the king is on f7.
they already made a repetition there. So.
Okay, so this is the position.
Mhm.
And what could white do? But it feels like Maksudlu's on
Knight
turn.
g5.
So he went back. So is he repeating here?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends with a draw because Maksudlu couldn't find the winning solution.
Yeah. And Duda seems a little disappointed in something.
No, maybe because Duda spot the winning move, which is
he goes to king g8.
King g8, yes.
He's playing for the win, but wait, okay, so he's giving up the f6 pawn because his rook is hanging.
Because after king g7, there's queen h4.
Queen d6. Look at this move. This is amazing. Maybe this c pawn is going to like get a chance to promote.
Wow.
Oh man, and he also has a passed a pawn. So I don't know.
Wait, knight h1? What about knight h1?
What? But that didn't happen. I think there was a trade. He took the rook. And he pushed the pawn to d7.
But this is winning, right? For white.
Yeah, who knows? So rook b8, I assume the rook went down. Yeah, the rook went down to stop it.
And then knight e6 has to be played.
Yeah.
And now black or white
and
is
I think he played knight e6, right?
Yeah,
he played knight e6. And so Duda is thinking now he just played king f7.
And then you have to push that pawn.
Might have been a really bad move.
d8, rook takes, knight takes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, who knows what? Oh, queen. here, and where did the king go? Is the a pawn running? I think the a pawn is becoming a queen.
Yeah, you cannot
He's
stop
in
it.
check.
King
He's
e7
in check and a6 is just going. Oh
yes,
man.
Yes.
Duda looks like he can't believe what he's just seen.
Yeah, he's disappointed. And yep, Duda resign. Wow. Let's see the last game standing. It's Ivanchuk and Sana.
All right, let's go to that. Okay, well, this one seems relatively calm compared to what we've just seen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So here Ivanchuk has an advantage, and it might get down to rook and bishop versus rook. But I guess black is going to try hard to like not let it get to that, right? I mean, it's not like he has to sacrifice his knight for the pawn anytime soon. So how long have they been in this type of position? Not long. They kind of just got into it pretty recently. Somehow, yeah, he had to give up the e-pawn, but he did win this one. Okay. And he obviously cannot afford the trade. Yeah, so Vahap he's hanging in here.
Yep.
What an exciting round so far.
Yeah, it is very exciting.
Yeah.
We haven't really actually covered the women's section, a little bit, but even in the open section, it's already like too much excitement.
Yeah, well, we have Magnus, who somehow blew his advantage in a disappointing way. I think Hikaru versus Prague was certainly a disappointment for Naka. Not just losing, but it was sort of like just losing a piece out of the opening and not having enough compensation for it. Nepo won a very crazy game against Nihal Soren. Yeah, I feel like we did follow like the really exciting ones. And Maksudlu beating Duda. I mean, that's a bit of an upset as well.
Yeah, it is an upset.
Duda is the winner of the last World Cup.
Yep, exactly. And I mean, the game was very close to each other. Like at some point, I think Duda was better, and at some point it was just equal. But then
Queen d6 was an amazing kind of find there by Maksudlu to confuse Duda in those last seconds.
And this endgame, yeah, this is going to be a very long one, I would say.
Oh yeah. What did Vahap just play? He played his knight to b3, which means that we need to update our board a little bit.
Yep, in this position, knight b3.
Knight b3. Okay, yeah, you can watch the live board, and I'll just play the moves here. So
rook,
what happened?
No, rook somewhere. Rook. Rook d5. Rook d5.
Rook d5. Oh, we cannot take everything yet.
He took.
Yeah?
He took
Oh,
on
he took.
d5. But don't take twice. Yeah. Just keep the rook on the board. And rook g1.
Rook g1. Okay.
Yeah. This should be easy draw.
Yeah, his king is in front of the pawn.
You just have to. Be careful.
Well, nice save by Vahap. We were thinking that he was definitely going to be suffering here.
Yeah, and they shook hands already. So that concludes our first game in the 25 plus 10 tiebreak, and we saw many good games and a few upsets in open section. The biggest upset, Nananda beating Hikaru Nakamura, and in the women's section with black, yes, and in the women's section Bella Kotanashvili defeating Konaru Hampi. So we will be continuing to the second game of the rapid tie break, so don't go anywhere. We will be coming back after this break.
Azerbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
On the coast of the Caspian Sea, the spectacular city of ATAU, the largest, competitive, impressive, World Schools Chess Championship. "400 participants, 70 teams, 53 countries, 4 days of intellectual battles. We discover, we assist, we make friends, we have fun, we are trends, we play, we try, we win, we are young, we are future, we are chess."
Menit lagi guys, 6 menit lagi ya nunggu ya. English. Kata hybrid. Ya, benar-benar tadi kok. Yang ngomong udah banyak semangat itu. Tadi udah selesai ternyata. Ada beberapa doanya.
Welcome back, everyone, and we're still on the tiebreak day. The second game of the rapid tiebreak will be starting soon, and we have 10 matches in the open and 5 matches in the women's section. And we see the countdown. It's about 15 seconds left to the first move. What is your take on this second game, Irina?
Well, I feel like someone should have warned me how exciting the tiebreak day is going to be. Even though I'm not playing, certainly I felt like woken up by what we were seeing, and the heart rate went up, and it's just super exciting when it gets down to those seconds. Well, we got Vincent Keimer playing a Nimzo Indian against Magnus Carlsen. In this game, Magnus playing quickly again, going for one of his trusty openings, something he actually played against me back in 2007. So let's see. Okay, it's going kind of in a sharper direction, with Vincent going for the F3 line and Magnus going for the less common knight c6. I gotta say, if I would see this move, knight c6, I wouldn't really know anything about it. And by the way, I actually played F3 against Magnus in that game that I referenced back in 2007. And back then, he played the more standard d5. Today, he plays knight c6, letting white build up the center. He gives up the bishop on c3 after playing e5. So then there's this trade on c3 and d6, knight e2, and that seems to be the current position on the board. Well, I think it's an interesting choice by Magnus, because obviously this is an unbalanced pawn structure. He gave up the bishop pair, gave white the big center, and I like his choice from the point of view of trying to get a game.
Right. And none of these players are desperate to win the game, actually, because they can also proceed to the next tiebreak, that is 10 plus 10. So out of 10 matches in the open and 5 in the women, how many do you think will go to the next tiebreak?
Oh, okay. So we have. Well, then let me take a look. How many do I predict will go on to keep on playing? Yeah. Well, I think Ju versus Pats has a chance at doing that. Actually, you know what? There's no point for me guessing. I know it's going to be a lot. A lot of them will continue on. Maybe the question is like,
so
who do I think will?
So there are 15. Just pick a number.
Who do I think will not continue on? I think the Muzichuk one will end like in this one. I think that's like I have a fairly strong feeling about that, and I have a feeling like Prague is going to go through. I think that Nepo is going to go through, and the rest, anything can sort of happen. I don't have any strong feelings about that. But speaking about Prague and Hikaru, we can take a quick look at their game. Obviously, it's a must-win situation for Hikaru, but he's playing with the black pieces, and right now the position is symmetric. Now, in his interview, where he had to pick a question out of a hat, the question was which animal he associated most with chess.
Yes.
And with himself. And so he goes on in this beautiful explanation about the lion and his qualities, like how he's so protective of people, and he's also quite ferocious. And he's like kind of asked again, well, and what animal do you associate yourself with? And he's like, well, it was kind of obvious that he was talking about himself.
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, well, it's the lion. He's got an aggressive style. I'm an aggressive player, and the lion is kind of ferocious. So reason I'm telling you guys about that is because I think he needs to bring out that lion in him right now and play a ferocious game, because that's the only thing that's going to keep him in this match against a very informed Prague.
Yes, definitely. And the position so far is, I think Pragnananda is clever enough not to enter to any complication, and the position is still very much equal. And I think Hikaru has to work hard in trying, to make the position a little bit imbalance, because if you keep going like this, it would be very easy for Prague to neutralize everything and just get the draw that he's needed to get through to the next round.
Yeah, and it looks like rook d1 is on the board. And Hikaru is thinking about what to do with his queen. Should he go to e7 and then possibly get hit with those ideas? Or should he go to e8, but then also leaves this pawn a bit weaker? I mean, right now, he's not in a great situation to be playing for a win. It's like his position is more like, how do I equalize for now, right? Because even equality is not quite granted. So yeah, I mean, I have to say Prague's idea of just taking on e5, playing the simple position, it certainly looks good. And, you know, we'll see if Naka can make anything out of this. Meanwhile, okay, let's go back and take a look at Keimer versus Carlsen. I wanted to say one thing, that I find Magnus's opening play, his choices to be always quite smart. You know, and he finds a way to kind of he generally doesn't go into lines that require like 20 moves of theory or 25 or whatever, right? He kind of goes off the beaten path and he plays positions that he can understand. So there's a real like intelligence in that, right? Like he tries to play for his strengths, right? It's not so much the computer's evaluation. It's like, what do I understand and feel comfortable with, and how do I get my opponent out of his book? And like that's what I see here, because f3, you know, of course he could play, you know, d5 or c5, and he's played a d5 before. It's a very solid move, but he's like, no, I'll play knight c6, like a move the computer doesn't like as much, right? It's probably not as good, but so what? It gets us off the beaten track. And yeah, I just think that's more evidence of Magnus being quite clever in his opening choices.
Yeah, exactly. Well, for sure, you don't want to play against your opponent's preparation and just bringing them into the woods. I think it's what you should take, because Magnus is obviously a better player, and just getting things out of the book, out of the openings book, I think it will give him a slight edge there.
Yeah, and then he just played knight a5. So it's interesting, he hasn't castled yet, so he needs to kind of watch out for this check sometimes. It's not dangerous yet. But is his bishop going to be going to a6, or is it going to be going to e6 and trying to provoke d5? That's a question. Right? Or is he just going to castle next? And then the question also could have been, well, why didn't he just castle, right? I mean, it seems like that's probably part of the plan. But okay, he played knight a5. And
Bishop d3.
Bishop d3 on the board. And okay, here he has a chance to answer my questions.
Yes, so typically the bishop goes to a6, but on this position, that bishop, I think, has to stay on c8, because it has to anticipate the possibility of knight f5. Yeah, now it's a big moment for Magnus, what he wants to do, and he goes for h5.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice. Yeah, you see, the problem is that if you castle, obviously white's going castles and f4 really, really fast, and you know, no one cares about that pawn. The other point is, if you go there, because you're not castled, like you're not even threatening bishop takes c4 yet, because there will be later on a check that wins your piece. So Magnus, again, just plays a move that honestly it's quite typical whenever there's a knight on g3. I haven't seen it so much in these structures, though.
Without the dark square bishop for black side, right?
Yeah, I mean, just like this, like with where white has this big pawn center, you don't normally see h5 happen very much, but you know, black has not castled, and he's trying to make use of that.
Yep. Just one thing that I'm a bit worried of this move is that, yeah, bishop g5, this looks a bit ugly to black's position, but I never know what Magnus has in mind. So maybe in this position, white has to play h4 first in trying to stop h4 itself. And yeah, h4 bishop g5 looks quite solid for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, because black doesn't have a dark squared bishop. This move actually looks quite okay to me. Again, the inclusion of these moves is certainly unusual for this position, guys, but it makes sense. You kind of get the g5 square for your bishop, you solidify your knight, and that's probably what I would do. I don't think I would let that pawn keep going, and I don't think I would like allow that pawn to go there, even though Well, it's a possible way to play, and I would even say that even this is like, I mean, you can go to e2 if you want to be solid, but even knight f5 seems kind of interesting to me, attacking this pawn. But I suppose, I don't know. It's pawn structure is changing in a major way. There could be rook h5, and or not. Maybe I just
f4.
Maybe I just blunder some kind of f4 idea. Yeah, that's probably what I did. Blunder, a little bit of a tactic. The rook gets hit, but no, that would be a very big change, of course, to the position. And maybe black. You know what black would just be doing here? Maybe just queen d7, actually, because I don't think we're that worried about bishop takes f6.
No, I don't.
Even queen e7 you can do. Maybe castling queenside. But anyway, let's see what Vincent Kamer came up with. He is not concerned about h4. He just castled. And Magnus is
now h4.
allowed to push.
So now I think we can use that idea, knight f5, because now the rook on f1 is already prepared to go to e1 and attacking the center. So also, I think any knight move here, even if you go to h1, it's, I think, very acceptable as well, because then you reroute your knight to f2. But I don't see a point of going knight e2, to be honest.
So you were thinking maybe more knight h1, yeah?
Knight h1 or knight f5. If it depends on what type of position that you're looking for.
Yes. And, I mean, the question is, where's black going with this king, actually? I mean, I suppose you want to go this way, but you constantly have to look at like c5 ideas, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it will be interesting. We will have a pair of bishops versus a pair of knights.
Yeah. So big decision for Vincent. Yeah, he either has to allow this transformation or he needs to kind of go back somewhere with his knight. I don't think the knight on e2 is so bad. Like, I don't think that, but I can understand why you might also want to go to h1. He goes to e2, he's lost a bit of time, right? And then this pawn will eventually get attacked. Or also, you know what it is that I think that black can try here? What do you think about knight h5? Is that a move? Or are you just going to play f4?
I think I'm going to play f4.
Yeah, well, you know, my idea is actually to set up a beautiful...
And he's gone for knight f5.
Yeah,
Yes.
a beautiful dark square strategy. I just wanted to show you. So, yeah, of course, the game would go kind of in this direction. But he goes knight f5, and we are going to see those two bishops versus the two knights position that we were talking about. So this one, Magnus definitely managed to create like a big imbalance and get out of theory very fast.
Yep.
Of course, it's easier for white to play, right? Let's kind of like say that. I mean, you got the two bishops, you're castled, your opponent's not. The position is fairly open now, right? So I do feel like this is not a particularly difficult position for Vincent to play, which is kind of the only minus for Magnus's strategy.
So what do you think about the black king, where it will go to the long side or the short side?
Yeah, let's go queen d7, because I just realized we're definitely going long. We're going to go queen d7, and the idea that I just had is that if you go rook e1, because I thought at first you could apply some pressure, I'm just castling, actually, and I hit the bishop on d3. So that way you can't just win a pawn because you got problems over here. So if I am black, I am definitely thinking queenside where this knight is.
Yeah, that really making so much sense. Yes, queen d7 is also the move that I'm looking at, yeah, because you want to keep an eye on the f5 pawn as well. You want to get ready for this possibility to castle, and in a way you're just developing your pieces.
Yeah, I don't think you can really afford to go kingside because of bishop g5, because of the way this pawn has been extended. So I think you need to keep the rook on h8 defending the pawn. So that's why I'm thinking like queen d7 is quite reasonable. And now he just went for it.
He went for queen d7.
Yeah, and what can white do? This is also a very good question. Wow. I mean, like I said, guys, very big idea for white is the c5 break. And I think we even can be thinking about it like right now. I know it looks a bit weird, or maybe I should wait a little bit. Maybe I should do a move like bishop e3. That's also possible. But I do think that this move kind of needs to be looked at. But probably it's just not quite working yet. I think I need you to commit to the queen side before I play c5. Probably this doesn't work yet, but it's certainly interesting, because if you take this way, I take that way. If you take this way, I take that way. And, well, I mean, I suppose you could even take, right? You can even take at this point, and maybe even castle kingside now.
Yeah. Though, principally, when you're playing against bishops, you might not want to open the positions, because it will just give your opponent some advantage there. So I think Magnus will just try to exploit the fact that he has a pair of knights, so he will just keep the positions close.
I think he just went rook b1. Rook b1, friends, is not very subtle. You know, you're basically saying, hey, do you want to jump into the frying pan so I can go with like c5 ideas? Or, you know, okay, maybe again, I don't know, if you castle, maybe c5 immediately is not like super dangerous, just because there's DC. Yeah, DC. Right, there's DC, and because we've placed the rook in a favorable way, you're pinned, you can't capture back. But still, he's going to try to prepare that. Or he might prepare some sort of exchange sacrifice idea, right? He might want to have the rook on b5. I would not be surprised to see that at all. But still, I mean, Magnus can still castle a queenside without, like, the attack being too deadly yet.
Yep.
What do you think? Do you think he's going to try to find something other? Because he cannot keep his king in the center forever.
Yeah, I think I will go for a long castle. And I think after that, white will try to move the bishop on c1 to, let's say, g5. I think that's a good square. Or even just go to e3.
Yeah, so Magnus goes queenside. He is undeterred. Yeah, because it just wasn't easy to see where else the king can go. By the way, in this game, they are way closer on the clock than they were in the first game, you know. So Vincent is obviously more comfortable in this position. Well, that's how it is with black, right? I mean, Magnus has played a line that has given some concessions to white, right, in order to create something unbalanced. So after castle's queenside, what would we do for Kamer? Bishop e3 really kind of jumps out at me as a move. Like, I feel like it's not a bad development in general. But also, yeah, also this rook b5 move.
Yeah, I like rook b5.
They're probably going to, like, you go rook b5, they're probably going to go knight c6. Or, I don't know, queen c6? But queen c6, you're kind of like begging for the sacrifice to eventually happen. Let's just try it. Let's try that move and see if this is an idea, because we like material sacrifices.
Or here, you don't have to take. I think you can just make on a4.
And you want to threaten to take.
Yes.
You just want to threaten, yeah, to win material instead of losing material. Yeah, that's a good point. All right,
he's done for bishop g5.
Okay, yeah. That's quite normal. I mean, I don't think he's threatening to take the knight. I don't think he has that much interest in that trade. But perhaps he just wants to provoke the rook to, like, go to the side of the board.
And there's f4.
F4 after rook h5.
Yeah, after rook h5.
If the rook goes there, yet again, I walked into this idea. So bishop g5 makes quite a bit of sense. And what should Magnus do? You know, it's tricky for him because he's got issues with the king, right? Even here, when he's castled, he's still got issues with the king.
Yeah, this is not a position that you actually want to play, I guess. We can see on the screen that Magnus is not really I don't know. He's contemplating whether he likes this position or not, because
Yeah.
this is not the position that you want to play if you fight for a win.
There's something about his expression which seems a little bit deflated.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was the previous game which has done this to him, but don't you feel something a little different in him today than even like yesterday? Yesterday he was so focused, right? He was so determined to win, and he won. And now he just seems a little deflated. That's my feeling. And I hope I'm wrong, actually.
Maybe he just realized after 2 classical matches that he just finds it very stressful and boring. And if that is correct, then he should be happy of playing shorter time control today.
Yeah, c5. Well, I like this choice. It's got certain drawbacks, but it's he's trying to keep the position closed and trying to take away these constant ideas from white. So I definitely understand him on that, and I think at some point he might be, coming back with his knight to c6 to induce something to happen with his pawn, to get the position to close up even more. So I like that choice. It's a practical choice. I see the computer doesn't like it too much, but I do understand it.
Yes, I totally agree. Yes, and d5 is not something that white wants to do in this position, just causing the position, and the knight will be more superior than the bishop. What can white do in this position? Oh, he played for d5 actually.
Wow, he played for d5, huh? He actually played that move, yeah?
And rook h5.
Yeah,
So-
okay, look at that. That is a little bit surprising, right? You see, c5 didn't surprise me much, but d5 by white surprised me, definitely a bit. And then also the fact that he didn't spend much time on it. He didn't spend much time on closing the position, even though he's got the bishops. And Magnus instantly played rook h5.
So after f4, since the center is already fixed,
Yeah.
black can play just rook h8, for example. I mean, rook d8.
Yeah, although I am still a little surprised at the speed of this, because I would feel that you would really need to calculate this move. Like, I wouldn't just give them this f4 for free and be so happy to let white trade off the doubled pawns and get the passed d pawn that easily. So I don't feel like, to me, Magnus's rook h5 is not like such an obvious thing at all. Like, why would you necessarily want to go? Oh, I'm sorry. Here, maybe I'm blundering this bishop. Yeah, of course, that wasn't the plan. Got it. But okay, maybe he... What do we do here? Maybe queen d2 then? And there are even weird ideas of knight h7, aren't there?
No, if queen d2, you can play e4.
Yeah. You can play e4, and even... I don't know. I know this looks weird. But, kind of trapped your bishop in that trade. Also interesting. Okay, but you like e4. And that's going to send my bishop to e2, and then you're going to go rook h7, I guess.
Yeah, and f5 pawn is very weak. So
Yeah, that's actually the key point, isn't it? You're going to win that pawn, and the position is completely closed. Okay, so I'm starting to see the point of Magnus's rook h5. So he's kind of wanting them to move forward in order to then have this idea, right? So what else can we do here? So we can't let you push. That's the point. Whatever I do, I can't let you push.
that's true. But I have a feeling that this d5 will cost the game for Vincent Keimer, because this is just counter principle, because you have 2 bishops. You'd like to open it up. If he doesn't want to do anything about it, then just ignore it.
I finally got it, Irene. The problem with all of this is bishop e2. As bishop e2, I'm going to hit your rook to get it off my bishop. And when you move, then I at least get to take. At least, well, it's, that's sort of the on the right track for white, right? I mean, make that trade and protect my pawn and all of that. Anyway, let's see what he did.
He moved back to h8. So
f4 happened, and he just moved back to h8.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, fascinating. Not what I would have expected, guys. But I mean, so his point is that he's just provoking f4 to have e4 as an idea, or to have the d6 square for his knight. That would be kind of a brilliant idea if that winds up working. like if the point of all of this is that ultimately, right, like after this trade, like you made that square empty and like you're planning to bring your knight there and somehow that works out, I mean, of course it would be pretty brilliant, right?
Yep.
So on one hand, it looks like a loss of tempo. You go rook h5, they attack you, you go back. But on the other hand, you know, you're trying to say, hey, I wanted your pawn to move forward like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, there with the cost of a passer on D file, it's actually very expensive. So we will see if this plan will backfire or not, because to be honest, I don't really like this. I don't really like this position for black. Because let's say that I take the f6 and then I take everything.
Yeah, so it takes, and queen e1 just happened, right? This is the only problem, is that like this pawn is coming under attack, but also this pawn is coming under attack. However, maybe we just go, do we just go e4?
E4 takes on f6.
Yeah, but intuitively you sort of feel like just give up that pawn, you know, make white give up the bishop pair, right? Like, I don't feel like if you take, I have no compensation because your bishop is quite bad. So I'm thinking about this move.
Okay, I'll take on f6.
You'll take.
And then queen takes.
Queen takes, and I guess there was...
You're going to take on b3?
I guess there was that. I mean, but then I think I don't have enough compensation for the exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think, you know, your queen's going to come into e4. Yeah. All right. So I go with my idea. I take, you take, right? Well, I've lost a pawn, but you would think I have compensation here. I really feel like this is not the end of the world. So I can do either rook there or knight in. I mean, isn't like even this position like going to be quite playable for me? But I mean, I could attack your queen first and then do that. Maybe that's better.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is probably kind of the play that Magnus is going for.
Yeah, he's played it. He's played e4.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Yep, he's pushed that pawn, so he's going for that pawn sack. Well, you know, Magnus knows his classics, you know. He knows the bad bishop versus the better knight idea. And, yeah, he's really, I don't know. I have a feeling like we might be watching like a very instructive game here.
Yeah, even though it's a rapid game, but it is indeed high quality.
Yeah, he's going to like bring out all the vintage positional tricks, you know, pawn sacrifice to get rid of white's bishop pair. I mean, okay, let's say you don't take it. Obviously, you're not going to take it with the bishop, so the choice is either move back to e2 or take the knight, right? So you could move back to e2, but it's a bit of a concession, right, to let this pawn get here.
Yep. I don't like this bishop e2.
You don't like it, yeah? So you would just go for this. Yeah, we'll see. I think it's a big decision. I'm curious to see what Vincent, who's also like, you know, a good positional player, what he's going to choose.
Yep. Let's see what's happening on the second board between Pragnananda versus Hikaru.
Okay.
Looks like...
Well, let's take a look.
Looks like Pragnananda is getting closer to eliminate Hikaru.
Yeah, he's just developing his pieces in the most obvious way, right? And Hikaru trying to avoid the trade. Queen d2, bishop e6, bishop b5. I mean, well, I suppose Prague has an obvious threat. That's the moment, right? And so he wants to take the knight and fork. And how does, like, the problem is that white is so centralized, such like classical development, right? It's very hard to create something big here for black. Of course you can play f6, but you know, okay, I'll just go bishop e3.
Or bishop h6 as well, not to lose the tempo.
Your knight's stuck on the side of the board, you know? So, I mean, the d file belongs to white. I mean, Hikaru has like real uphill battle here.
I think Pragnananda might be giving himself a birthday present today.
Yeah, Well, his birthday was yesterday, right?
Yeah, it's a bit belated. Yesterday.
A belated birthday present. He
belated,
turned
yeah.
18 years old, guys, yesterday. So, I mean, I have to say that if he does beat Hikaru, it will also be like a really deserved victory because he has played really aggressive chess with both colors, right? He was actually better in their first classical game. He definitely tried to create stuff with white in the second game. And he won with black again. He's like really well prepared and he's going for very aggressive things. So I could not possibly attribute any of this to any luck.
Right.
You know, if Prague manages to win.
And Hikaru played it. F6,
Wow,
bishop
F6.
H6.
F6, not the computer's favorite move. Bishop H6. It's interesting. You know, I have to say that for me, like this move was more intuitive, you know, than trying to get the trade of these bishops. But okay. Maybe there's like some specific reasons he's going for bishop H6 and I mean, of course, he still has like these G4 ideas sometimes. Well, if he wants to lose, you know, if he wants to allow Naka a sack. But, you know, somewhere you have to look at, you know, the nice position on H5 and it could always be an attack. So he basically just wants the queen to come in and for this pawn to be really weak.
Yes, or maybe he just doesn't want to lose the tempo. If now black plays bishop H8 and... White can continue with his plan. Let's say, okay, the knight on F3 is not really doing anything, so maybe we can move it to H2. Okay, it looks not really good as well, but yeah. But this position is definitely looking better
he can
for
do
white.
yeah, he can do a lot, and maybe even I would say I don't know. Bishop H8 is a bit of a miserable move for Hikaru to have to play. Did he do it? No, he didn't.
Did King H8.
King H8, yeah. Okay. King H8.
So if you take on G7, you have to take it back with the king because otherwise F6 is hanging.
You know what I see white? Like I see white at some point using that square for the queen. Whether it's like queen E3 immediately or even after the trade, I kind of like the queen on E3. Of course, there's a lot of things you can do, but I like the queen here.
Why not C3?
C3 is also good, I have to say. Absolutely nothing wrong. Yeah, pile up on that. Yeah, you know why I liked this? Because I just kind of wanted... I had some stupid dream of this move, but it's really not a good idea. You know, like allowing you to maybe to even take, go knight f4. But anyway, these dark squares for the queen are both available. Queen C3 is very simple, and I completely agree that he's gonna go for something like that because that's all he really needs right now is some simplicity. So yeah, you see, my prediction was that this match was not going further. Remember that, right?
Right.
I wasn't, and I think that's based on how well Prague has been playing. Actually, it's just the confidence in him. That's all.
Yeah, he took the bishop and placed C4.
Whoa, did he really? So he took the bishop and played C4? C4? Really?
Oh, no, queen C3. So
queen C3. Because I was
something
like...
was along the C file.
Okay, on the C file. Yeah, this, yes. This I understand. Because C4 seemed a little unnecessary, a little anti-positional. But queen C3, nice. So simple. He still controls the center. Black's still not getting anywhere.
Bishop D7, protecting C6.
Yeah, I suppose bishop D7 is kind of necessary.
And now
queen
actually
C5
I'm thinking,
is interesting.
Actually, now I'm thinking of G4. Because if G4, then you have to play knight F4, takes, and I don't know, something along the E file that you can just take and then E5. There's some calculation to do there.
Yeah, I think he's probably not going to be like even trying to play these moves for a while. I don't know. Not because they're bad, but just because I don't know if he...
King F1?
Yeah, if he'll want to get into this. I suppose you can, right? I mean, I suppose you could just be extremely greedy and just take everything. Maybe he will. maybe Prague is going to have this concrete approach.
Because he's been playing this type of moves, G4 or G5.
Oh, that's why you're thinking about G4, yeah. Yeah, Hikaru's position is incredibly cramped. Yeah. Says, don't censor me, bro. I like his name. Yeah, we're not going to censor you. That's why I read your comment. So now let's go and take a look at Vincent Kamer versus Magnus, because that is heating up in a big way. Big way. So after E4, what was Vincent's choice? He went for your choice, Irene. Bishop takes F6 and, Magnus.
Oh, we missed this move.
Oh, yeah, we missed that. Okay, so it wasn't a pawn sack. He does... Wow. Okay, that's a pretty cool intermediate move. Basically, he keeps both bishops under attack. Yeah, we completely missed that. That was quite a find by Magnus. Bishop takes rook. Okay, pawn takes D3. Rook G8. He's going to take the pawn on C4, or he's thinking here. So right now, Magnus is down a pawn. But he's got a pawn he can take. Then he loses that pawn. And what did he do? He did something else.
Rook E4.
Oh, beautiful. Look at that concept. He's freeing this rook. He's like, the rook is blocked, so the bishop looks like he has power, but the moment that you switch your attention to the E file, the bishop actually starts looking kind of irrelevant. That's very cool. I like that.
I was just wondering, why E4? Why not E2, for example? It looks more forward. And then with the same idea that if you take on D3, then rook takes... then rook Ge8.
Yeah, I think that's also interesting. I mean, basically you're just thinking this looks more active, right? I mean, it's a little harder to win that pawn back, but I completely agree that the rook here is also like very good, right? Yeah, so maybe that was even better than what Magnus did, but still the idea is quite cool.
Yeah, this is very good and very principled as well, centralizing your pieces, freeing your pieces as well, improving things that needs to be improved.
You know what's interesting is that we were kind of seeing the bad light squared bishop for white. That's been a theme of this game, and yet Magnus is trying to like turn this bishop into the bad bishop, right? Kind of the irrelevant bishop on G7 on an outpost, but like not doing anything. So
rook A D1.
Yeah, rook A D1. Rook A E1. Okay, he's trying to trade.
Yep.
And now let's see what we can come up with.
So you can actually include this knight takes C4.
Right.
But after queen takes D3...
Maybe, is there any way... Okay, I just had this weird idea. Queen E8. It's like really strange, isn't it?
Not strange at all.
But you understand what I'm thinking here, right? Because I want to try to like stop you from playing queen D3.
He just took.
Yeah. And also attack your rook. Okay, but he took. So how is this going to go? So obviously rook takes. Maybe just... It's going to say maybe queen F5. Maybe just queen F5. I don't know. It's just... I mean, I want to save this pawn, right?
Or you could also try to exchange the rook. Oh, yeah, he did.
He just... Oh, because he's going for the checkmate.
Yeah.
That's a way to fight for the e-file. So he's getting the queen on e8. Yeah, this looks way better.
Queen and knight versus queen and bishop. I think this is what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah, that could happen. And okay, it's a bit tricky still. Like I don't think the right decision is to trade. You can't really trade.
No, you keep the queens on the board. You got to keep
the queens on the board. Okay. But definitely tricky play by Magnus, right? So apparently there was something stronger right here that we need to find that he could have had. And I'm just wondering, like, what about this move that I was thinking, queen F5?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, the idea is to protect the pawn so that then you can just capture. And apparently that was a very good move. And then I think knight c4.
Rook f1, knight c4.
Yeah, don't I have that idea? I mean, it's an idea, right? Knight c4. I don't have to do that, but knight c4, rook f5, knight d2. Certainly looks playable. I mean, I wouldn't call this out of the question at all. Because if you take, I take, right? The D pawn is very strong. You can't win it so easily.
Right.
So actually, maybe Magnus missed a better chance here. Maybe that was like the crowning moment, was like to save that pawn and then get it. Right. So, that's a little bit too bad, you know, because then it would have been such a textbook game. So good, you know, making this bishop irrelevant. All right. Magnus decides to play rook e8 though, which is also pretty good.
Yeah, but I understand. I mean, in this time control, you cannot really calculate anything, and then having the rook being very passive on g8, it should give you some doubt of playing such a move. But of course, like if you have a concrete solution for everything, like queen f5 is definitely the best move.
Yeah, I like this because I mean, there's just the pawn actually is so strong. The problem is that you can't win it.
Yeah.
The problem is that in this position, my knight like protects everything. You know, so that's okay. Magnus got up again and back. So what is that? That usually shows he's confident.
No, he's just looking at the other board, probably also thinking that Hikaru was about to get eliminated.
Rook e7.
What happened? Rook e7.
Yeah, he's trying to free the bishop. Not bad. Oh man. It's a good idea by Keimer, just giving up that pawn to get the bishop back into the game. And then he's also going to be able to take there and play queen f1, right? So basically the line goes like this. Now, by the way, yeah, he unfortunately cannot move the queen away anymore because his rook hangs. Oops. Yeah, so he's going to have to take. He's going to have to take and go for this. And then Keimer is going to take. And then, unfortunately, this is not checkmate, and this might be an unwelcome surprise for Magnus, because the problem is, you know, black's pawns are weak, and even though, like, just for example, like, you might think this endgame is not bad for black, but, you know, it's the h4 pawn that's the problem. And, yeah, Magnus is heading down this way. This is the position on the board.
Queen e1.
Queen e1, it's happening. Queen f1 and queen e3. Yeah, Magnus obviously doesn't want to trade the queens. But on king h1, I guess there's knight c4. There's like some kind of back ring tactics. How about queen f2? How about we continue?
I don't know. I think they're going to go for the next tiebreak.
You think this game is going to keep going?
Yeah, this offers perpetual. So,
all right, let's go to one of the women's games, guys. I know we haven't been there in a while. And Elizabeth Patz doing quite well against Ju Wenjun. So what gives her position the advantage? Well, it's obviously the control over the B file and having the, I don't know, I'm just going to call it the kebab on the 7th rank, okay? Using Hikaru's expression. So yeah, that looks quite nice. How's the time situation? She has more time than Ju. All right. So that's good news for Elizabeth and her fans. Yeah.
Wow, this could be an upset.
Yeah, okay. Let's try to find a move for white. How about winning that pawn? Seems very doable. C5 and then like the queen c4, c5, d5. I mean, like, of course, one of these two moves, guys, would be like the first ones to look at, right? Something like that. Hitting the pawn, you basically have to move here. And then I have a lot of moves. And, I mean, d5 looks like
I like
should
d5.
Be
yeah,
very strong, because, I mean, my centralization in these positions is just incredible. Like, all your pieces are in the back rank. So something like that is what she should be thinking about. Maybe queen e4 as well. But queen e4, the thing is that there's c5, and then, you know, at least they have like knight f6 or something. Still not great, you know, it's not like even here, it's like black can barely move anything because they're pinned up, can't take the pawn. So yeah, no, she has a big advantage.
It's a +4 position for Elizabeth, so we can tell that the advantage is huge.
Yeah, let's see. Is Humpy going to be able to come back against Bella? So far, her position doesn't look super promising. Black has the 2 bishops, and she's trying to win a pawn. So obviously, her whole concept here is like pawn takes, knight takes. But there could be some tactics here, right? I mean, or maybe just compensation for the missing pawn. Like even d4 looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Or maybe just rook e8, you know. Most likely it's this move. Most likely it's the very simple rook e8. And just have like nice compensation here for black. By the way,
d4.
how is Nurgul Salimova doing against Medina?
Ooh, what is going on?
It looks like somebody's trying to checkmate here.
Just a while ago, it was like a very equal position.
Oh, wow. She's only got 30 seconds against Aulia's like tons of time, but apparently she is going to be getting in that rook lift.
Oh, wow. So you have to take on f6.
Yeah, I think checkmate is just coming.
Yeah, but how? Okay, let me calculate.
Yeah, try.
No, just a while ago I was
Knight
checking
takes
this game.
f6,
It was just
right?
equal.
So
Knight
well,
f6.
knight f6. There's even maybe there might be even rook b7. Oh yeah, I'm just taking on f6 and like rook b7 and winning a
b7
piece.
is also hanging.
Yeah.
Oh, I
like-
didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I tricked you by promising you to checkmate, but I see that now I can also just win a bishop.
Oh, sorry, she took on f6 first.
Yeah, so she took on f6. She did take with the knight, right?
No, she took with the knight first, and then now.
And then she lost the piece exactly the way we were showing. Yep. So Nurgul doesn't have a ton of time, but she does have a completely winning position. So she can manage to win with an extra piece with her like 40 seconds on the clock. Then she'll go through.
Yeah, but in this moment, you never know. This tiebreak is full of blunders usually. So
Yeah.
with less time on the clock and it's only seconds away. Well, Salimova is definitely a very capable player, but during tiebreak, everything is about your nerves.
And we have Eileen Robers, who kind of is on the worst side of this position against Harika Dronovali. Harika played another Sveshnikov. They repeated their classical game, and Eileen played a different line. But right now, Harika has really wonderful centralization on the e-file, and this bishop on a3 does not make a good impression. I mean, it can't move at all. So right now, Harika has ideas like f5, g5. She can get those pawns going. I mean, she might even take the d5 pawn. Or that would be it's an idea. Of course, you don't want to like blunder any sort of tactics. There could be some tricks, but I mean, I don't think this pawn is very important. But black definitely looks like they're better, so I would kind of bet on Harika, but you never know.
No, this position is definitely better for black, because look at the knight standing very strongly in the center. You can even not to think about anything and just play f5, for example. Just consolidate the position. Yes, so what is happening now in the game of Vincent Keimer versus Magnus Carlsen?
All right, well, Magnus has gotten the queen trade at some... How did he make this happen? So he played queen e4. Tricky move. Wait, is his game... Whose game is done?
It's Pragnananda.
Prague.
Oh, officially
Prague
knocking out
knocked
Hikaru
out
Nakamura.
Yeah.
What enough Carlsen approaching him, congratulating and probably...
Yeah, I don't think
analyzing
he's
some
congratulating him. I think he's telling him some lines, most likely. I would think so.
No,
yeah.
he should be congratulating him
yeah,
too along the
yeah.
side. Wow.
Nice.
And look at the smile in Carlsen's face.
Yeah, well, Prague was our teammate in Dubai, so they definitely spent some time together. So I think they got to know each other better recently, and yeah, Magnus definitely looked happy for him. But very nice match by Prague, actually.
Oh, actually, he won.
He even won that game.
He won that game, but okay. Or maybe he is just drawn. I don't know. We'll come back to that.
All right, so let's take a look and see how Magnus is on his Seems like, wow, Vincent Keimer on 30 seconds and Magnus having 12 minutes again. What a monster. What a monster in time management, huh?
Oh, just to update, yeah, it was indeed a win for Pragnananda on the second game. So it's a 2-0 performance for him.
Amazing. Well, let's take a look and see why is Magnus winning here. Well, his king is obviously a lot likely to pick up that pawn. And so the question is, I mean, so white can't really create any play by winning the pawn on h. Oh, he did win the pawn on h4. Yeah, this happened. So he played bishop f6. He took that pawn. And you would sort of think that white would have some chances here with like the passed h pawn. But of course, black's king is so much better than white's. And what's probably going to happen is that this king can stop that pawn, but stuff is going to collapse on the queen side, is my guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And after bishop d8, knight b2 is on the board.
Yeah, our viewers are definitely happy for Prague. I mean, hard not to be happy for him, right? I mean, he plays very attractive chess. Very attractive and like fearless, I would say. Fearless, and I mean, Nakamura is a very well-prepared player, I think, but, you know.
To the next round.
All right. Well, I'm definitely sad for Peter, but on the other hand, happy that the local fans are going to have at least their one player staying in. That's a really big accomplishment, actually, for Nijat Abbasov, who also beat, I believe, Anish Giri, right? And
yes,
now beating
in
Peter
a tie break.
Svidler. And that is, those are two elite players. So yeah, basically this is what's happening. This king is coming over to deal with the pawn, and Magnus is picking up a4. And I think he already picked it up. So let's keep up to date with the game. Yeah, he picks up the pawn. And it's going to be, what is it, Gute Nacht to for Vincent, I think, in this match. It's probably all I know in German. Yeah. But it's a very impressive performance by Magnus. Do you see, like, there's a feeling of like effortlessness in how he plays, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, he's the only person who has the time to go around watching other people's games.
Even congratulating the other player. Yes.
Yeah, keep watching. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was following that game, and had some things to say about it. So now he's just going to win the c4 pawn.
Yes, and
King is not working at all in h1.
Yeah, I got a feeling that yesterday's game caused this one for Vincent, because he must have already analyzed after the game that he missed his knight e4, and also the way he played. I mean, it's just okay. Magnus was just pulling some magic in that game, of course. And King g2 is on the board, and what's after that?
Is the King g2? Sorry, King's already on g2 and on g3.
Yeah,
actually.
King g2 and then knight b2, and then now King g3.
King's on g3. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we can leave this game because we see that Magnus is going to win, right? So we might want to go to some